I remember the day it all crumbled. I stood there in the living room, the scent of stale coffee and cheap cologne clinging to the air, my heart racing with anticipation. I had finally mustered the courage to share my dream with my family, the one that had kept me awake late into the night, the one that danced in my mind as vividly as the colors on my palette. "I want to be a painter," I declared, my voice trembling but resolute. The laughter erupted like a dam bursting. My father's booming guffaw reverberated through the small house, drowning out my hopes. "A painter? You must be joking, son. You think you're going to make a living slapping colors on a canvas?" My mother's icy gaze cut through me, her disappointment palpable. "This is embarrassing. You're throwing your future away." Each word pierced deeper than the last. My siblings joined in, their mocking snickers echoing in my ears. They called it ridiculous, foolish, and a waste of time. In that moment, I felt like a pariah in my own home. The very people who were supposed to support me were the ones tearing me down. I could feel the weight of their expectations crushing my spirit. I left that day with a decision etched in my heart. I would prove them wrong. I packed my bags, leaving behind the suffocating walls of my childhood home. I moved to a city that pulsed with creativity and possibility. The art world was brutal, but I was determined. I spent countless hours in the dingy studio I rented, surrounded by the smell of turpentine and the chaos of my dreams. I painted until my fingers ached, pouring my soul into each canvas, transforming my pain into vivid strokes of color. There were nights I cried myself to sleep, haunted by self-doubt and the echoes of my family's mockery. I took odd jobs to make ends meet, waitressing, delivering pizzas, and cleaning galleries, but every moment was a step closer to my dream. I immersed myself in the local art scene, networking with fellow dreamers and rebels. Slowly, my work began to resonate with others. I hosted my first gallery show in a cramped, dimly lit space, and to my shock, people came. They saw my art, felt my story, and for the first time I felt validated. It wasn't easy. I faced rejection after rejection, but each one fueled my fire. I could hear my father's voice in my head, taunting me, but I refused to let it extinguish my passion. I poured everything I had into my craft, and eventually my persistence paid off. A prestigious gallery took notice of my work, and suddenly I was no longer just another struggling artist. I was a rising star in the art community. Years passed, and the day finally arrived when I stood in front of my first major exhibition in a renowned gallery. My name lit up in bright lights. The room buzzed with excitement as people admired my paintings, each one a reflection of my journey, my pain, and my triumph. I was no longer the boy who had been laughed at. I was a force to be reckoned with. And then came the moment that would change everything. I decided to return home, not out of obligation, but to confront the very people who had belittled my dreams. I wanted to show them what I had become. My heart raced as I drove through familiar streets. Memories flooding back, both bitter and sweet. I parked in front of the house that had once felt like a prison and stepped out, my palms sweaty with anticipation. As I approached the door, I could hear their voices inside, laughter, chatter, the mundane rhythm of family life. I knocked, and the door creaked open to reveal my mother, her smile faltering as she took in my presence. "What are you doing here?" she asked, her tone laced with confusion. "I came to show you something," I replied, my voice steady despite the storm raging inside me. I stepped into the living room, where my father and siblings were gathered. Their laughter faded, replaced by an awkward silence as they took in my presence. I pulled out my phone and opened the gallery's website, the one showcasing my exhibition. I turned the screen toward them, and their eyes widened as they read the headline, "Emerging Artist Takes the Art World by Storm." I watched their expressions shift from disbelief to shock, and finally to something I couldn't quite place. "Is this you?" my sister whispered, her voice barely audible. "Yes," I said, feeling a surge of pride swell within me. "This is who I am now." I showed them photos of my paintings, vivid, emotive pieces that captured the essence of my journey. I could see the wheels turning in their minds, the realization dawning that I had not only followed my dream but had turned it into a reality. My father shifted uncomfortably, the bravado that had once fueled his laughter now replaced by something more vulnerable. I didn't think you'd actually make it," he admitted, his voice thick with emotion. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of years of resentment begin to lift. I didn't just make it, I thrived. I did this for me, but I also did it to show you that it's never too late to chase your dreams, no matter how ridiculous they seem. In that moment, I saw the cracks in their facade, the recognition of their past mistakes. My mother's eyes glistened with unshed tears, and for the first time, I felt a bridge forming where there had once been a chasm of doubt. As I turned to leave, I felt a sense of closure wash over me. I had faced my demons and emerged victorious. I wasn't just the boy they had mocked. I was a testament to resilience and the power of believing in oneself. And as I walked away, I knew I was finally free.